happen.
And one night I went to the theatre with Steve Clovis.
David Heyman was sat in the row in front of us at a production of a play called Stones in His Pockets.
I looked up and there was Alan Radcliffe, who was an agent at ICM who I knew. And he said, "Oh, how are you?" "Great." And then next to him was Marcia, his wife, and the boy at the end was his son, Daniel. So went, sat down in the row in front, and I paid very little attention to the play. I was always looking at over my shoulder at the boy behind, and he just had this quality which was an old soul in a young body.
I noticed David Heyman turning round to me every so often. I was like, who's that man? And then, in the interval, he came up, him and Steve Clovis came up, and they introduced themselves.
My dad just went, OK, maybe. He saw it as a sign. Like, I don't believe in that kind of stuff particularly, but they took it as a sign that it was somehow meant to be, and so they let me audition.
And action.
That's a dragon egg.
What is it?
That's what that is.
What is that?
Dragon egg.
I remember I auditioned. There was this whole scene about a dragon egg in the first film. I think Chris Columbus broke a real egg.
Oh, uh-oh.
And made me laugh.
Dan's screen test was amazingly charming and soulful, and he was inexperienced as an actor, but there was one thing that Dan had that you couldn't teach anyone, which was this sort of haunted quality.
If you heard your mum screaming like that, you're just about to be killed. You wouldn't forget in a hurry.
I just saw it in his eyes in more serious moments, and that was the moment I think that we all felt when we saw that screen test to hire Dan as Harry Potter.
Excellent.
Dad comes in and says, "I've just spoken to David Heyman and you've got the part."
And I cried, and I was in the bath.
Why did you cry?
I cried with happiness.
So we ended up with our three, and I don't think we could have done better.
The three of them together were just perfect. They really felt like the characters had jumped from the book.
I checked this out first term for a bit of light reading.
This is live.
Shut up.
The first time I actually met Rupert and Emma, I think we'd done a screen test together, but I still didn't know who'd got the part. And then when it was announced we got the part was the first time we met properly.
This is Dan and Rupert on the day that they got the job. We brought all three of them here, and they came into my office.
The last time we came in, I thought it was going to be another audition, but they took us to the producer's, David Heyman's office.
David Heyman tried to go into a great big paragraph, and then Chris Columbus just came out with it and said that we want to cast you as Ron and Hermione in the film.
And I just stood there looking blank at them for about 5 minutes until it really sunk in. I was like, oh my God, I just stood there. Thought, no, this is all a dream, pinch me.
It was just a complete shock because it was just so unexpected, but it was just such a cool day.
Here's them being photographed on that first day.
I remember very little about it. I remember that Terry O'Neill, I believe, was the photographer who took the first photos of us, and he continually referred to us as the ginger boy, the one with glasses, and the girl, because, of course, nobody knew our names then.
I look back on those photographs now and I feel like that's a different person. I feel like I don't know that girl. It's really strange. So much has happened since that day.
Josh!
When you're working with children, you have them for 9.5 hours a day. It's 3 hours for education, an hour for lunch, 15-minute breaks every hour. So ultimately, you end up shooting scenes with children for around 4 hours a day. That's not very much. And it necessarily means that our schedule is longer.
You know, the longest shoot I'd done was 11 weeks, and suddenly we were on for 11 months.
Set, and action!
I'll never forget just walking onto that set in kind of the middle of nowhere in northern England and just thinking, I've never been so nervous in all my life, because, I mean, like, you got the big steam train, you know, all the lights.
Hundreds of extras,
hundreds of crew.
So we kind of thought, oh, is this what every film's like, where you've got thousands of crew, or that, you know, like most films last about 6 weeks, not 9 months.
This way, first years, come on now!
Hey, actors.
Whoa!
I thought the kids all had acting experience because they seemed completely unfazed by... I mean, walking onto a big film set is a scary thing if you're expected to do something when they shout, "Go now." As an adult, it doesn't get any less scary, really, the first day. They just seem completely cool to it all.
Did you say hey Hagrid a little earlier? Since he says hey Hagrid. A little higher on the lamp, Robbie. And action! Right now, first years, this way.
Robbie Coltrane was Joe's idea, because we wanted somebody to play Hagrid who we knew could be tough and dangerous, but at the same time was warm and vulnerable and very funny. And Robbie is all those things.
Right then, follow me. There was just no question of not doing it. You knew it was, so long as they were true to the book, it was going to be wonderful.
All right, shooting. Okay, roll sound.
Okay, class, listen to me. Welcome to your first flying lesson. I want you to raise your hand over the broom. For the flying lesson, I remember saying action, and half of the kids started performing. The other half of the kids are staring into space. We had to stop, and I said, you know, action means we start shooting. And I thought to myself, oh my, this is the beginning of a very long shoot. So Peter, this is everybody's moving on action.
Rufus, go to your left. Other left.
I don't think any of the kids will disagree with me when I say that they were extremely inexperienced in terms of being on a film set and doing film acting.
We had to cast a lot of children for Harry Potter 1, and Chris and David were just as meticulous casting for students as the other roles. But actually, one of the great things was when we were auditioning, especially the children, you didn't have to explain any of the characters because they knew them better than I did.
I was just such a fan of the story. I wanted to dress up like a wizard, and I wanted to go to Hogwarts, and I knew the best way to do that would be to get a part in the film. And it was nothing to do with my career at the time. It was just a little boy wanting to be in Harry Potter. When I first started, we shot a scene where Neville's broomstick takes off. And then I'd read it in the script, but I don't know, I had no idea what to expect. You know, I'd never done anything like that in my life.
Hold on, let's start at the beginning, still rolling. Switch your hands. Matt, great. Remember to look to your right, look down, be really scared and hover.
To come and have stunt department put you in a harness and strap you to a broomstick, and then you're flying around on this roller coaster type thing.
Cut.
And they call it work. It was brilliant.
All right, shooting the plane. Please stay back.
I remember the first time when we went on location. I think it was to Annick, and we were awful. That's really what I've got to think. I mean, we were messing around all the time. You just imagine having a massive group of 11-year-old kids just running about, trying to keep them controlled, and just feel bad for all the people. They're trying to make a film, and we thought we were on a holiday camp. We were having a great time.
Okay. All right, checking eight.
My great lament is that we don't really do many locations anymore.
There's a great deal more location in Harry Potter 1 and Harry Potter 2 than there is in 4, 5, 6 and 7. That's because in the beginning, the time we were given, we couldn't possibly build all this.
The first person hired was Stuart Craig, because this world had to be created.
Honestly, your first reaction is fear. I thought, oh my God, how can I possibly do this, really?
Starting with Stuart Craig was one of the best decisions that we made on those pictures, and Stuart's just a genius.
He really has brought Hogwarts